Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Monday, the 8th of May. First of all, I would like to say a shout out to my husband, Rob. It is his birthday. I hope it is as beautiful a day for you as you are, sweetheart. So today, I'm back after taking a couple of days off after Jude died, and I'm just hanging out. I was preparing my sermon for yesterday, last weekend. I was reading that passage from John 14, verses 1 to 14, that talks about, and I go to prepare a place for you, and do not let your hearts be troubled. And I keep thinking, how often, if over the last 24 years, have I read that passage at a funeral, and how tough it is, and then to find it on a Sunday and realize, okay, how do you preach and not make it a funeral sermon? And I was able to, I think. Talking about Jesus being a door, not a key. But as I was reading it for Gospel on the Go, and as I was reading it even before that when I was getting ready to write the sermon, I got thinking about the idea of Jesus showing us the way. And he says to them, he says to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, so that where I am, there you may be also." So, first of all, I'm going to explain where I'm sitting. I am sitting in what is called a chair and a half. So it's like a normal sized chair and then add another half. When we moved to Wainwright, that was the deal, that we were going to get a new couch and I was going to get a chair, a reading chair. And as we were looking for chairs, I saw the chair and a half and realized that's what I want, because then I have room for me and I'd have room for Dude. And this one has got really big arms on it here, like the whole thing, like I put my tea here and my book and everything, and then Dude would curl up on the other side. Well, the fact is that Dude generally would, I'd get squeezed into like a quarter of the chair, and Dude would just push his 94 pounds out, and he'd be like all stretched out in his glory, and he'd put his head up here and just look beautiful. And his toys would be all over me. This is his bear. This is a Kong toy. They're supposed to be for those breeds that are really rough chewers. You're not supposed to be able to take them apart. This is why, because inside they don't have fluff, they have ropes. But you can see that Dude managed to do that. Every one of his toys except his puppy. He managed to disembowel his toys, and then he'd carry the carcass around with him. But this toy, this bear, was up on my chair on last Monday when I got home from the vet. So I'm sitting in my chair thinking about Dude, and then thinking about Jesus saying, "I go to prepare a place for you." Rob and I got talking about, as priests, what do we believe? And there are lots of people out there who say that animals don't have souls, and it's blasphemy to believe that there would be, that our pets would be in heaven. And I think, the whole Rainbow Bridge thing kind of gets to me. It's a little bit too rainbowy. Like, it's a little bit too unicorns and sunshine. It seems very childlike, not childish, just childlike. And I live in a world of more like theology and stuff like that. And so thinking about that, and somebody had said that to me in passing about, I think the person when we had to settle up the account at the vet, said something about Rainbow Bridge, and there were little rainbow stickers places, and it was like, okay, you know what? I can totally handle rainbows for the LGBTQ stuff, but when it comes to my dog, I think I'm going to stick to thinking about theology. And really said to Rob, is it wrong for me to believe that Dude's in heaven? And the response, what we sort of came up with, was that, our dog Dude had a personality. That might be a dogality, I don't know what you call it, but he had whatever dogs have as form of compassion. If I was upset or tired, or if something had happened and I was having a good cry or something, he would come up, and if I took my glasses off, he would lick my face. He never licked my face unless my glasses were off. Or he'd come up and put his head on my knee. When Rob was stressed, or especially when Rob came home from the hospital, Dude was like right there. Wherever Rob went, he was there. And he anticipated when Rob needed some space, and he anticipated when Rob needed some company, and he just knew. And when he'd do something wrong, like eating Kleenex, that was Dude's thing. He'd eat Kleenex. Clean Kleenex were awesome, but if they were used Kleenex, even better. Ugh. Anyway, like I would, if I forgot to put my Kleenex box up and I went out for a couple of hours, I come home, dude would sort of walk me down to my office door, but he wouldn't go in. And then he'd put his tail down between his legs and just wave it back and forth a little bit. And I would look in, and there would be the Kleenex box. It would be empty or be on the floor, all licked, and some of them gone. He told me. So, do dogs feel shame? I don't know. But he seemed to have a conscience. He knew when he'd done something wrong. But dude loved. He showed love. He showed energy and compassion. And he had something of a soul. I really believe that. And Rob and I talked about it, and we thought about it. If God would create a being with that much capacity to bring love to another being, human being, why would God simply dismiss that being that God had created in the first place? So we came away with sort of the theological thought that regardless of what great theologians might think or other priests might think I'm speaking heresy, whether it's simply because I need this to be true or whether it is true and someday I will know, that yeah, our pets, those animals that we have loved and who have loved us in return, they do have a place in God's eternal creation. Why would we limit creation? If God created this temporal place, why would God, and we believe that God created an eternal place for us, why would God limit that eternal place to just us? And then as I was reading that passage, if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself. Thinking of my Father's house, there are many dwelling places. Dude never had a dog house. He was an inside dog, but he had a cage he liked to go into. Thinking about, Jesus preparing a cage for him with a comfortable blanket and a couple of toys that he could chew to bits. And then the idea of Jesus coming to him. I will come again and will take you to myself. And thinking about when my grandfather died, I was 17. And I was with him, I was holding his hand when he died. And I know that Jesus came to him. I could see it, I could feel it in the room. Jesus came to him and took him. And I do believe that Jesus was with us in the room yesterday on a week ago when dude died. We could feel Jesus' compassion in Dr. Turner and the nurses and the techs who were so beautiful to us and to dude. In the gentle way they cared for him and had him and encouraged us and allowed us the space we needed. Jesus was present as whatever it was that made dude and not just simply a dog, left his body and went to wherever souls go. Jesus was present. And Jesus is present here with me as I sit 1 week later in a chair that I haven't been able to sit in for a week. Thinking about my chair companion, my chair hog, because dude was a hog. And thinking about the reality that because I believe in God, because I trust in Jesus and the Holy Spirit, I can indeed believe and trust that Jesus was present with dude. And if Jesus gives me this kind of peace eternally, then surely Jesus is giving it to dude as well. God did such an incredibly and intricate and intimate thing when God created. I'm not going to limit God's creation and say that this is who God will receive and who God will not receive. I'm going to say God receives. It's who God is. And give thanks. And give thanks that indeed we are not to let our hearts be troubled. We are called to believe in God and believe in Jesus. For in God's house there are many dwelling places. And Jesus is gone before us to prepare a place for us. And if he goes to prepare a place for us, he will come again and will take him to himself, so that where he is, there we may be also. So where Jesus is, Dude is also. And that's where we'll be as well. There is hope. There is hope for all of us. There is a place that is better than this one. Even if this one's awesome in your life, there is a place that's better than this. And you're invited. Not only are you invited, you're a welcome. You're not just a guest, you're family. And you're so invited and so welcome and so much a part of the family that Jesus has gone before you to prepare a place for you for when the time is right. Rest easy knowing that you have an eternal home when you're ready. Thank you for being a part of my family. And thank you all so much for the comments and the prayers and the emails you have sent about Dude. I'm going to miss seeing his tail walk behind me in the camera, or hearing his snores, or when he licks himself, or when he, belches and toots and all those things that he used to do. But he will always be a part of Church at Home. He will always be a part of our family. God bless you, and thank you for being part of my family. Have a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel.